Aren't you happy that we did it our way? Everyone we knew was saying no way, but we were never listening anyway. So don't be just standing in the doorway. Don't you know we gotta hit the highway? Darling, this is gonna be a good day. And I've gotta say that I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day I'll be looking back on this and I'll say, I'm so happy that you said you would stay. There were times I know that I was crazy, fraying at the edges and you saved me. I'm losing count of chances that you gave me. You're laughing at me dancing really badly, and telling me the reasons why you'd gladly do it all again. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Well, hey, words can never adequately convey everything you're giving to me today. But holding you is better than a holiday, and leaving you, I dread it like exam day. So at the risk of sounding kinda risque, everything to now has been the foreplay. Darling, I would follow you to Norway, or anywhere you want it. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, when we're getting wrinkly and our hair's grey, a rusty old banger in the driveway, one of us will maybe wear a toupee, but I will be in love with you.
Welcome, welcome, amazing impact makers. Super duper doobies. I bet people are still joining, but let's start right now. You're the amazing speakers who all are already here. And before we're going to kick start with a beautiful, beautiful lesson, we're going to have a lot of integration today. Would I love to create a little bit of space for some wins, and we do it rapid fire. Okay, so maximum 1 minute per person. Carmen raised her hand first. There you go. Or it was Rocky. Who's going to be? We might want to unmute. Am I the only person who is not hearing them? We don't hear you. While you're solving the mic, I would love to already give someone else the opportunity to start sharing a win. Who would love to go? Is it going to be Ubat or is it going to be you, Jackie?
So my win is I'm officially launched, right? Can't hear me either.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can. Okay. I've officially launched, but I'm also I just did this Facebook page. It's female entrepreneurs, and they have this spring event. And so I'm going to be in front of like 230,000 people. And not all of them are my people, but there's a percentage of them that are. So I'm really excited about that. So I get to be prominently displayed. I have to do a video, but it will all be good. I'm excited.
Say 240,000 people.
Yes, it's huge.
Pretty
Oh, I
damn.
know. So if I get like 1%, I'll be happy, right? Less than 1%. So
Beautiful. That's incredible. Okay, rapid fire in. Carmen and Rocky, is the sound working? We're still working on it. All right, so who wants to go next? A win? Sandy.
I introduced Lori to someone fabulous.
Yes, true. She introduced me to her neighbor, and her neighbor are going to be in the Speaking Academy in like a month. So that's going to be fun. Motivational speaker all over the world. Yeah. Jeremiah from the car. Are you able to speak?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm getting closer for my talk. It's Thursday, and just practicing away and working on some of the fundamentals here.
Yes. Yes, we're going to talk about that today, even deeper, but also right now. We're going to do something fun. Oet, quick win.
So I managed, I had selected 12 topics that I was earlier going to be teaching inside my one-on-one coaching program. So I fine selected 6 topics out of those, and then categorizing them into a Notion story library. I started creating that, and I was just talking about it, but finally I managed to do that. So that is a big win. So now I can start storing stories that are relevant to my ideal audience with the aim in mind, and I can start doing that now.
Oh, that's brilliant. Recognizing the stories and connecting them to teaching points that are part of your pillars, right? So now you have these go-to stories. That's what we want to go to. Well done. Carmen and Rocky, how's it going? Are you able to hear us? Because there's some gold over here. We don't hear you. So maybe we just within 10 seconds show the face of the win, like show the face that you would like share like how it feels to have the win that you got. Look at that. That's a big win. Even without sound, we're able to celebrate with you. So now there's some sign language. I might not be so good in sign language, so please put your win in the chat. And then it would be amazing to work on the sound, because we're going to do a lot of interaction right now, and it's going to be really, really fun. Because some people aren't here today, but they will see themselves back on the screen. Because when we are sharing your story, and next week will be the graduation of half of this group, which is going to be really fun for everybody. And I'm going to, at the end, explain exactly how it's going to go and what everybody's task is going to be to optimize the experience. Oh my God, Carmen was in a TV commercial. That is incredible. Congratulations, Carmen. So in that TV commercial, sharing your message for 240,000 people, and then next week being live on the Public Speaking Academy graduation event, that's really, really big as well. You always want to do something at the beginning. Whenever you start sharing whatever amazing stories that you have, whatever incredible teaching points, right, Ubad? Like you have like 12, but down to 6, however good they are, they're only as good as the people perceive them to be. They're only as good as the retention that people have with that specific topic in mind. Other ways of saying, you can have amazing stuff, but if people don't remember it, or they don't feel this is for me, it's not gonna stick. So a very, very important part of everything we do with speaking is what we want to focus on is the beginning. The specific strategies and the specific topic explanations I share in the course, but I really want to reiterate upon them, and then we're going to practice that together with real life examples, and we're going to do some hot seats and Q&A. Before we do that, like what are important things to have in mind when we open a keynote, a story, a video, doesn't matter. What are the important things in mind? And we do this popcorn style, by the way, which basically means that you're all little popcorns, and I put the flame under it, and whenever you feel you pop, you just pop. So you can just unmute yourself with an intimate group. So who wants to go first? Sandy.
I think asking a question, because it makes people start to think and engage a little bit.
Okay, so we can ask a question. What else? Bring it on.
I think you need to know your audience, right?
Audience. Yes. So in order for us to be compelling in the beginning, we need to know who our audience
Yeah.
is. Absolutely.
Yep.
Ubat.
Nailing down the ideal client profiles, getting that exercise done for whatever it is that you are planning to do would really help. I think before we start talking to these people, I think we need to know exactly who we are talking to, their desires, their pain points, everything in as much detail as we need to, so that we can target the marketing message exactly focused towards these people. I agree.
Very
Yeah.
much, very much. Right? Like we need to understand our ideal client. We need to know our audience. For everybody who's already went through this model, you know that there's 3 different lenses we want to look through, right? There's not one perfect answer. That's the art of this. But there's also a science, there's also a framework, and we're going to go through both of them today. So at the end, you know this is going to be my hook. That's where I want you to end. This is going to be it, and I can change this whenever I want to. So lens number 1, and that is Jackie and Ubad, what you were sharing already, is we want to make sure this is directing to our aim, and this is facilitating the transformation, right? We can share an amazing hook that might get people totally in attention, but it's nothing to do with hook, and now it gets distracting. Right. So maybe the super funny joke or a very important statistic, and it has nothing to do with the transformation. So now people are engaged. You have them because in the first seven seconds, people unconsciously decide if they're going to listen to you, yes or no. If you're losing them in the beginning, it's going to be really, really hard to get them back. So we want to be very intentional about the way we open. We want to be mindful this is in alignment with the next thing we're going to say, because when we lose them in the middle, they're going to squander off. As a speaker, you are the leader of attention. We talked about this before. When we lead them somewhere, we want to be intentional about why we do that and how we do that. We're going to see that through examples. So lens number 1 of the 3 lenses of starting with an amazing start is you want to be clear. This is directing to the aim that I have, fitting the audience that I have right now. So very well said. Then, and this is a little bit about what you shared, Sandy. You said we want to open up with a question, right? You want to, lens number 2, make sure you grab the attention as fast as possible. So you can focus on lens 1 and think, oh, this is so much in alignment. And maybe you even start with, hello, everybody. I'm just so grateful I'm here. And thank you so much. And this is actually the first time I'm doing it. So I'm just very excited to share this with you. First 7 seconds has nothing to do with your audience, has nothing to do with your aim, doesn't grab. We're losing people. We're losing people right here. We're designed to survive, and the calories we have, we want to focus on being alive. We don't want to focus that on understanding complex knowledge. So every time we hear this is not relevant for our survival, we don't want to spend those calories, we're off. So the second lens of the 3 lenses is not this is directed to the aim. That's number 1. Number 2 is grab the attention fast. Now, the vehicle can be a lot of different things, right? It can be a question. It can be a story. It can be a joke. It can be silence. You can do a lot of things to grab attention. You can fart. I don't know. You can do a lot of things to create attention. It might not be directing to the aim. So now it comes together. How do you create attention and direct people to the aim? Make sense? Perfect. So funny, right? Makes sense? Is a loop. We talked about this last week. You're all like nodding. So how many lenses do we have for the hook? 3. So last one, to build it all together, to make sure that you're not all replicas of Lori, or as Tony Robbins say I. Say I. And you're all going to say that because there's one man doing it, and this is the best man in the personal development. So now we're all doing it, right? The third lens, and in my opinion, a very, very critical one that's often forgotten, is does this feel like you? Does this feel like you? Throughout the whole entire thing, we want to make sure that people get to know us for who we are. We don't have to say that, they will experience it. So through the course, we're not going through this because you can see that by yourself. There's an example of someone that starts with a poem. And this woman, she loves poetry. Her talk is about the education system, about children. And when she was a kid, she loves writing poetry. So now she's writing a poem about the education system. And she starts with a poem, she ends with a poem. So does this fit the aim? Does this grab attention? You bet so. Does this feel like her?
Yes.
Now, does this mean that you all need to start writing a poem? No, because maybe it just doesn't feel like you. It certainly does not feel like me. So I won't. It doesn't mean it's really working for her. So this is where the art meets the science. So quickly in the chat, what are the 3 lenses to look through for a really good hook, for a really good opening, aka the most important thing ever when we start, because we want to draw people in from the beginning.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we can still use it. Can you hear us now?
Yes. Brilliante. So three lenses of the hook. What are they? Put them in the chat. The first one who gets all of them in there gets 10 points. Oh, Sandy. They're coming to you, my friend. 3, 2, 1. You gotta catch them. There you go. See, it feels good to catch them. I know it does. Right. So we want to be clear. We want to focus on our aim. We want to grab attention and we want to feel like you. Now, what we are going to do, as said, next week, there's some impact makers who are going to perform their full story. And in order for us to all learn this and for them to feel, I totally got this, especially from the beginning, because when you have momentum, when you know my beginning is solid and you start with that energy, I'm going to do exactly this in this specific way. I'm not from scripts, but it's really nice to know what you're going to say right at the beginning. You'll have that momentum. And we're going to make sure that you feel that momentum next week. And that's why this week we are going to look at people already shared their videos with me, and we're going to start with their openings. And together we're going to look through these 3 lenses and see, okay, what are they doing really, really well based on these 3 lenses? And then based on these 3 lenses, on the curriculum, on the steps that we're all learning and all applying, what could potentially be improved to make it even better? Cool? Is it completely clear what we're going to do with 2 thumbs up? Right? You're going to see a video. You're going to see, based on these 3 lenses, how can we start with power? All right, I'm going to share my screen. And we start with someone who's not here right now. We start with our amazing Colin. Colin created a video as preparation for his talk, and let's watch the beginning and then let's analyze this together.
Sitting on the podium at the European Championships, listening to the Irish national anthem was one of my proudest moments. I'd won gold for my country, the first ever Irish table tennis player to do so, and I'd proved a hell of a lot of people wrong. Players and coaches told me from the beginning that table tennis wasn't my sport. How would I move the wheelchair and hold my racket with one arm? My friends on the German national team used to call me a tourist. Now I'd qualified for the Paralympics, I was the best player in Europe, and I was on the highest level of funding.
Okay, we're going to watch this entire clip one more time, and you're going to look through the 3 lenses of the hook. What you do incredibly well, and what potentially could be even better. One more time.
Sitting on the podium at the European Championships, listening to the Irish national anthem was one of my proudest moments. I'd won gold for my country, the first ever Irish table tennis player to do so, and I'd proved a hell of a lot of people wrong. Players and coaches told me from the beginning that table tennis wasn't my sport. How would I move the wheelchair and hold my racket with one arm? My friends on the German national team used to call me a tourist. Now I'd qualified for the Paralympics, I was the best player in Europe, and I was on the highest level of funding.
All right. First of all, because he will watch the replay, can we get a big round of applause for him taking action and staring at himself and doing this? Because that's not always the easiest task. I'm sometimes very like, and yet you do it because you know, the more I do it, the more reps I get in, the more feedback I get, the better I get. So let's start and let's do this like talking. So please raise your virtual hand when you want to share what he did incredibly well. The better you can analyze, the better you're going to notice this for yourself. Nilsa.
The emotion that he puts in when he says it's the Irish national anthem, and I have a goal for my country. I mean, should I go on or let somebody else continue?
Yeah, keep going. What did he incredibly well?
For me, he did incredibly well when he mentions the Irish national anthem with this emotion that it touched, I felt it. And then he wants a goal for his country, has a one goal for his country. And then he talks about the wheelchair with one arm and how is he going to play? And I'm trying to visualize, how can he do that? He's the best player with the highest funding. So he gave us like a whole story there in one sentence.
Yeah, really good. So he's starting the frame with like, hey, this is who I am, right? Beautiful. What else? Anyone else? What did he do incredibly well? Based on these three lenses. So try to look through these lenses and analyze it in that way, because that way you're going to practice the lenses, you're practicing the skill. Sandy.
I think depending on who his audience was, I think he painted a picture really well. You could picture him on the podium. You didn't really know he was in a wheelchair until afterwards, right? So I think the visual, the story just kind of in your head, you pictured him standing on the podium, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's in a wheelchair. Like, so it kind of, the story evolved and you evolved with the story.
Yes, really well done. And this is nice to notice, right? So when we look at the clear grab attention, does it feel like me? His vehicle is telling a story. Doesn't mean everybody needs to tell a story, but you start to see this is how he does it. He picks a scene of a very specific story, a very strategically chosen story, and he says it and he starts right away, right? So we start to see, oh, this is what's possible. Carmen and Rocky, we can hear you now. What did he do incredibly well?
What I thought he did incredibly well, and again, this is kind of like what Sandy said about depending on the audience, but whenever, he's going to be speaking to a group and he will be in his wheelchair. And whenever he started talking about, standing on or being on the podium and then playing it, it's kind of like, what is he talking about? Because I mean, you're going to go, what does he mean he was on the podium? And, and they're playing the national anthem. Yeah. What does that have to do with you? And, because they're going to go, I don't know, I just think that's a real attention grabber for me.
That's what
what
got him.
So
good. There's like the contrast, right?
Yes.
So he's playing, and that is really good. Like he knows that people will see him. So he now immediately sets a frame with, okay, I just want you to know, this is what I accomplished. I'm going to bring you along the story and you're going to learn about what you're going to learn from it. But now we're immediately like, okay, we're at least going to get something from this guy, because somehow he just breathed resilience. Who here feels that it was an attention grabber? You were there. Doesn't have to be. You don't have to just like blow smoke. Who feels it was authentic for him? You've been seeing him for a bit. Who felt like we're meeting this guy and he's very genuine with what he does? And based on what you know that the story is about resilience, who feels that this story was an alignment? Okay, yeah, so he's all the boxes. Yeah, Jeremiah.
Oh, Lord, I just that not only do I know it feels like me, meaning him, Colin, it feels like I can tell it resonates with Colin, but the doubt, I could feel that the German team doubting him and the resilience in him, just like I was able to embody that feeling of how he feels. So not only do I know he feels it, I feel it too. And I resonated with that.
Yeah, so good. So good. So we see that it's just like this quick, like start. It was 34 seconds, right? Sometimes we think in order for us to really perform, and Jeremiah and I have our bonus call in the end, and we're going to get 2 minutes out of your talk, right? For the time that you have. Sometimes we think we need more time to deliver more value. And what I love to say is, okay, how can we use less time and create more value? Because when we start to get the art of using all these loops, like specificity versus broadness, dialogue, engagement loop, like all of those little things, we don't need to have more time. We just want more quality content. And he's able to do this in 34 seconds. Now, my question to all of you is, would there be ideas where you think this might be even better if you would consider blah, 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 blah? And this is very personal. It doesn't have to be true, but I'm just curious what you can come up with. Because again, you're training the skill for yourself. Mari.
First, I apologize for my delay. I would say, I don't know, Colin, if you're a little bit intimidated to talk in front of the camera, but I see that if you could give more expression or show your excitement, that is the only thing I believe you're missing. And that is, like, if you're writing a book, all that stuff is great, but when you're in the visual environment, you have to be able to play with what people are looking at, and also your tone of voice. That's all.
Who sometimes feels that when you're talking to a camera, it's like it is a little intimidating, and you're not always thinking about the way you express and all these things. And at the same time, it does do a difference. So the beauty of this is, first of all, the awareness of it, and then second time, and that's why we do this every single week, right? Where you're practicing videos, is like getting more comfortable with just the habit. Because when we get into the habit and our 100% focus is not on, oh my God, how am I looking? But, oh, I got that. So now 30% of your attention is there. You have 70% more of attention to think of, okay, maybe I can use my hands. Maybe I can actually not be what I, at some point as a joke, self-diagnosed with enthusiastically monotone. Like, I'm always enthusiastic and it's always the same. It's always the same. And contrast, it was draws people in. So when we have more focus, because we're nailing down certain practices, so we don't have to pay attention on that so much because it just happens automatically, we can start to focus on other things. So I completely agree with that. Sandy, you had something?
I guess I had a question. So, you know, he may not have that like bubble personality, right? So that could just be, so that third point of having him feel good about himself, like how do you balance that?
Yeah. Oh, this is one of my favorite questions. Oh, Maria has an idea, and then I'll share my my thoughts.
Okay, and this is what I have to deal at work. Sorry, you guys, I've been sick. I'm on the road of recovery. I would say you have to try to think that you are talking to somebody that you feel very comfortable with. You know, it's kind of like you have to train yourself, and this is a lot of what she's teaching us, is to loosen up and coordinate and organize our thoughts. But that is, we really have to try to think that we're talking with somebody that we really feel comfortable with. I don't know if you have other suggestions.
Yeah, certainly. So that is really an important one, right? When we envision us, when we focus on, okay, what are people going to think of me? Is my video going to be right? I hope my hook is going to be solid because Lori's going to watch this video, right? When we're in our head with those kind of things, that is where our attention goes, which is totally fine too. What I said, like there's certain lenses. I hope you start to see how I'm using my language, right? There's a fundament of the now and the new. In the beginning, it's confusing. You're like, now, new, Lori, And at some point, you start to get it. And then you start to see, oh, story block, story library. I start to get this Notion thing. I actually start to use it now. I start to see that it's not this one big screen. And now you start to combine those two, which is a new skill. We have skill number 1. We have skill number 2. Now we have skill 1 and 2 together. It's a new skill. And then you go up. And then you go up and you start to think about transitions. You start to be aware of the hook and the close. And now you've got that new skill. So you have now skill number 3. And now you have 1, 2, 3. Now it's a whole new skill again, because it's the combination. It changes the dynamic. And then when you start to get that in order, Then you start to focus on the optimization lenses. So that is the use of dialogue, the engagement loops, the tone of voice, your body language, like all of those smaller things. Like you can have your body language in order, but not your content. It's like, let's build the fundamentals first and focus there, own that, so we have more headspace to focus on the other things. Now, specifically for Colin and this video and how he can be him is sometimes it can be very helpful to name the exact thing that you're most afraid of. We talked about this before. And that can be simply, in his case, be with, now you might be thinking, what does he do here in front of the room? And then he can use maybe that in the beginning, because at some point you're just going to own it because you've done it so many times. But not using it as an apology, like this is my first time, has it been like this, because it's not. Like he's doing this over and over again. It's like stage, like the table tennis court or whatever you call it. That's my home. I'm choosing to be here to share a story that will bring you forward. So you're commanding the outcome that will bring you forward on your journey. So is it okay if I'm just going to share it like I'm sharing this with a friend right now? So now he gives himself complete permission to be that version. And now we see it as a strength because he framed it as a strength. So it has a lot to do with the frame. Now, what I talk with Colin, because it has a lot to do with clarity and practice too, is a suggestion or an invitation that I gave him, and we start to figure out, like, does this feel authentic to you, is to really create like a 10K talk, like with an experience, right? And in his case, we thought like, okay, what if we actually like put on the anthem, and then the anthem becomes his song where he actually goes up to, and the anthem, because he sang it a little bit with me, is like everybody will know it. So now there's immediately emotional connection. So people are like, what's going on? And then instead of him saying, it's like, well, this was the song that I was hearing, and now he starts. Right. So always, again, it's not about more content, more information. It's like, how can we could do this in 20 seconds if we want. Same and go higher emotional engagement, more loops, more specificities, more pictures, and boom, transition. And now he has a story. Do we all see how this is working for you as well? Do we all see that we don't have to start with a story, but we can start with a story? And how he does it is what you could do as well. 3 different lenses for a hook. What's working? What can be better? As we know, Colin is not going to be the only speaker, and he's certainly not the only speaker who sent in a video. So who's excited for the second round? People are like, it's going to be me. I sent a video. Well, I'm assuring that everybody that I received the video from is going to be on his turn. Mari, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, what you were saying is that he can start saying table tennis is my home, all that stuff. What are you saying that he's giving permission to ease his anxiety, probably, of talking in public?
Yeah.
What is it that he's giving himself permission
Yeah,
to?
so it depends on who you are and what you want to have it. It's really nice when your audience is buying in, right? So they're buying into, is it okay? Or some people do it like this. I can be soft or I can be direct. Which one of you do you prefer? Now, people often say direct, so now you have full permission to go full on. But when you do that without permission, it's going to be very, very intense. So when he has his vibe and he can name that vibe, is it okay if instead of, like, because now you hear all these things about me being the first place, and what I really don't like is when I meet role models and they're also full of themselves. I just rather have a conversation. It's okay if we just pretend that we're in a bar right now, because that's also with this Irish culture, which is in alignment with the goal, which is in alignment with this 3 C's. It is okay if we're just pretending to be in a bar right now and just having a conversation. So now he's creating a frame of this is how we're going to do this. And now he's giving himself permission to not feel like, oh, I need to be this perfect speaker, because he doesn't have to be. And that is his perfect speaking, because that's just him being him. But now instead of doing it and people have their own opinion about it, he gives a meaning to what that means. Does that make sense?
Thank
So
you.
you can start to think of like, what's the frame that I want to create? Sometimes I do this with fun. I say like, as you saw, like this is not going to be a boring situation. It's okay if we're just laughing a little bit because it's still number one fear of humankind. It's okay if we're just going to have a little fun here. Like, okay. So now people.
He's also like, that also like allows the audience to get out of judgment mode and relax.
Yes.
It makes the audience more comfortable.
Yes.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh, exactly. And that's what we want. As a speaker, you're a leader of attention. So where you direct people's attention to is what they're going to think. And that is the fun lens to look through, is when you look through a whole talk and you say, okay, where are you now misleading, or where you create openings. So now the audience can choose, and when they choose, you lose, they lose, you lose attention, you lose clarity. You're the leader of attention. So you want to be very clear on where you direct them. Cool. We're going to go to a second video and we're going to do the same thing. You're going to see there's different stories. First thing we're going to notice, and this is very important, and this is also a habit. When you don't do this, it's a habit that's going to be reflecting on yourself. The first thing I only want to hear is what was incredible about this. Incredible. So only compliments. And afterwards, we're going to hear what could be better. Give it up for Nilsa Santiago. There we go. The first bit.
What if I told you that the way you think about your business finances today will impact the next 10 years of your business transformation? Would you listen? In 2022, I was invited to attend the Goldman Sachs Summit in Washington, D.C., a 3-day event filled with world-class business insights and an incredible lineup of speakers. Among them was one who truly stood out.
Cliffhanger. Okay, we're gonna watch this one more time again.
Titled The Power of Financial Awareness, Lessons from the Court and Beyond. What if I told you that the way you think about your business finances today will impact the next 10 years of your business transformation? Would you listen? In 2022, I was invited to attend the Goldman Sachs Summit in Washington, D.C., a 3-day event filled with world-class business insights and an incredible lineup of speakers. Among them was one who truly stood out.
Oh, who will it be, yeah? Oy, oy, oy. She's gonna reveal that next week. Nilsa, how was it, first of all, to watch yourself back, but then this time not just with me, but with other people too?
I'm learning, so I'm great. Just bring it on. I'm fine with it.
All right, let's.
Obviously, I'm reading. I'm not looking at the camera, so there's.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and that's why this is a practice round, and that's why we're showing this all, because we can have all these thoughts about ourselves and all these things. You're putting in the reps, so let's focus on a really important muscle. What was really good about this? We're gonna do this popcorn stein again. Carmen.
Wait a minute. Go. I love the way she was so relaxed. She was talking to me. She wasn't just like talking to an audience. I was going, okay, who was the speaker? Who was the one she really liked,
Yeah, oh, so good, right? Sometimes we can think, oh my God, the perfect question to begin with. And you're like, I just like her vibe. That's good. What else? Sandy.
As a business owner, I'm thinking 10 years, like shaving that right there. If I'm the audience, which I would be, I'd be like, tell me some more. Give me that data.
Media credibility. So you're willing to listen, Jackie?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. She had a great hook, right? Because sometimes finance can be kind of being a creative. But she gave me a great hook because I want to be successful, and okay, I need to really pay attention because the decision today is going to really direct my company. And so I thought the hook was great, the starting point. Yeah.
Yeah. She used a question, right? So she used
She
a
did.
question to loop in,
Yeah.
and then she shared a quick, small part of the story based on credibility. Jeremiah.
She hit the 3 C's right out of the gate for me in terms of credibility with Goldman, Coolness, she's in DC for a 30-day event, and then the community is the finance community. So I knew right away what she was about.
Yes. Oh, I love the way we're now start to analyze this, because this is understanding of the theory. When we see it from someone else, sometimes it's still harder to see it from yourself, but we start to practice the muscle of how we need to analyze this. What else, Mari?
Okay, I'll have to disagree with you, Carmen. I do think she was nervous.
Okay, this is the
for me. She was nervous, and
Mari, I'm going to interrupt you right here because we're practicing the habit. It's really, really important. Right now, only compliments. What was incredible about what you did? That was our focus.
Sorry, the content was amazing. How you prep people, you know, like the 3 C's, like Jeremiah just said. You're right. I mean, it was so good, and you left people with a cliffhanger. Sorry.
Yeah, it's and I do this with intention because it's so easy, because most probably the patterns that we see with other people are patterns we can see with ourselves. And it's really important to start practicing what is going well. Ubat, last thing before we go to what could possibly be better.
I think after a great hook, she followed it up with a good attention grabbing question. Would you listen? I think that was something that I noticed was relevant for her audience. Like after establishing the credibility and the 3 C's, she grabs attention with a good question.
Yeah,
With
beautiful.
with the little I thing, like, would you listen? Like, I loved that. That was great.
Isn't it funny, Nilsa, to hear this from everybody? Because you had your own interpretation. We talked about this one-on-one. We already had our one-on-one. Is when other people see that, everybody has their own experience. And that's why it's so good to practice and to see how this all works. So from a framework perspective on how this can work for you, what did she do compared to Colin, right? Colin started with a story. He started with immediately right into the story. He started from not like I was once, and no, he started like right in the story. And then like based on the feedback, and I'm really curious if he's gonna go for it. You know, you can start with like a song and you start to create like this whole engagement. And now, you know, like now we start to puzzle, because then that's gonna come back there and then that's gonna be play. But start story and experience. Nilsa thinks, okay, you know what? I'm gonna ask one question. And after that one question, I immediately start with a story, right? It's a different way, but it's still through 3 lenses. Because did she grab attention? Right? She did. Was this authentically Nilsa? Well, Carmen certainly thinks that, right? There's a lot of approval there. And then was it clear and directly to her aim? Right? Was this about financial literacy? Was this about building financial systems? Yes. So she ticked off all the 3 lenses, and now it's like, okay, how can you optimize that? So any suggestions on how can she make this even better? So we're focusing on the result of the outcome of improvement, not on what's not good. We're focusing on what can be better. Who wants to go first? Jeremiah, you have yourself unmuted. Do you have anything?
Oh yeah, for me, I think the first thing that came to me was just embodying the message. So I felt the story was strong of where she was at. So with the question of challenging a business, if I could tell you these things that would change the future of your business, would you listen? To me, I needed a little more punchy, like to hook me with emotion, or maybe something around pain that it didn't quite hook me right there. And then she hooked me into, I was with the credibility, coolness, and community, but I wanted something a little more right out of the gate.
Really good. And really good analysis based on the framework, because this is how we all learn, right? So she asked the question, which is really nice. Sandy, that's what you said, right? We can open and we can ask a question. When we ask a question, we want to be very intentional about a couple of things. One, what is the question? Right? And indeed, we can focus on the pain. Like, do you want to prevent yourself? Who wants to prevent themselves of losing whatever? Like, or like, and then you start a story with how exactly someone loses it and how you're not have to be, because you have 3 steps that's going to bring people to that awareness or something like that. Or it can be towards pleasure, but then we want to be crystal clear on what that pleasure is and how people can see it and feel it immediately. Because first 7 seconds, you guys, when we don't loop people in with a question and they're like, we have to work. And Jeremiah was like, let's just say the brain of Jeremiah was gentle enough to think, oh, those 3 C's, I kind of felt it. But if we're just focused and we're busy and we're not like in this beautiful, like we're losing our audience. They're going to pee or whatsoever, right? So we just want to make sure that it's immediately directed. Now, second thing with asking a question, when we all want to do that, is when we ask for an answer, we want to be really mindful of what that answer is going to be. So, Nilsa, would you mind sharing exactly how you would now do it based on what we've been working on, just like the first 5 seconds? And then we're going to see like why she does this, more to learn from. Not that it's perfect. We're going to learn like why this iteration and what can you learn from that, Nilsa?
What if with 3 financial iterations, you have the potential? Oh, what if with 3 financial iterations, no balance sheets, no income statements, 3 financial iterations, you have the potential to 2x, 3x, 5x your business growth in 180 days. Are you in?
Yeah, good. Right? So now you're asking, and this is what I was looping for. First and foremost, it was more specific, right? So people start to see pictures in their eyes. Maybe we want to speed it up. So it's like the whole engagement. The last part is like, are you in? So now, and this is
yes, Tony Robbins, say yes.
yeah. So now what we want to do is we want to make it clear for people what they have to do. And what we've been practicing on, Nils, is like, how are you going to do that in a way that's fun for you? And you said, should I say yes, because that's what Tony did. And then what we created, because that's not completely Nilsa. What we created, which is Nilsa, so here we start to see the nuances, is now let's just do like what Tony always does, like just say yes, right? So now you're using it as a credibility and a community piece, and it's authentic. So instead of mirroring someone that you're not, because you're not, and it will come off a little weird because like, oh, they're trying and it's not really working. Now you're using it as a story, and you said the frame of these are the people I hang out with, and I go to these seminars. So now you're using it to your advantage. Or other ways of doing it is, are you in? Are you in? Seriously, are you in? And now you're showing the behavior that you want. Or put yes in the chat if you're willing to commit for the next 30 minutes with full attention and presence to not miss a single thing of this. Right? So now you're saying, I'm the leader on stage, I'm the leader of attention. Because when we're saying open questions and we don't, either with our body language, with a tone of voice, or with a clear action step that people need to take, people are like, kind of like answering the question in their own head. And when they're answering the question in your head, but you're further with your story, they're not listening to your story. So now they're in this, and I'm like, oh, I missed something, and I'm like, I'm out, right? Because we're not there again. So when we ask a question, we want to be, first of all, very mindful of what that question is, and if it's indeed directly in connection with what the audience wants and needs. And second, we want to be very clear on what we want from that question, because when people are like confused what they need to do with that question, it's kind of like lost. What I've seen before is some people ask like 4 questions in the beginning because they feel like, oh, they feel all of them, and then it's unclear. So it's like, who here wants the public speaking, and who here is also a little nervous, and who here also wants to talk, and who here is excited for today? It's like, whoa. Like I need to drink. That's what I need. I'm gonna get some water. That's what I'm gonna do. So we want to be clear on what it is that we want. Again, we don't need more time. We want to be more intentional with the time. We can create a really good opening in 30 seconds or less, and we can include 3 C's and a good hook and a good question and a good engagement loop and permission, right? And so now we're using our time efficiently and effectively. Mari, was there anything you would love to add to that?
Yeah, it was very interesting what you were saying about the open-ended question, you know, because I can just say in my stories, when I'm interviewing people, and you have to You have to ask open-ended, not that they say yes, no, but you're reaching out to them. So there
Mhm.
it is, a compelling desire for them to respond to you. And
Yeah.
that's what you're saying when you're saying, are you here to learn about speaking in public? You know, are you excited about today? Are we all in? You know, we're all in. We're in this class. So those are
Yes.
the things. And yeah, I'm just reiterating and supporting. They were very important points that you said. Thank you.
Beautiful. And I think with your
Lori, I have one thing.
yeah, go on,
I-
Joe.
Yeah, just with Nelsa, I like the change. I think I have a decent vocabulary, yet I didn't understand the iterations. So I think that I was hooked by, if I could show you a way with 3 financial iterations without balance sheets or profit and losses, how you can look at your business to get a 5 or 10x, would you be interested? That was good. I like the 5 or 10x, but I think for me, I would need dumbed down language. Like, what if there was a lens, 3 different lenses you could look at your business without P&Ls or balance sheets or talking to your accountant and still 10x your business? Okay, wait, I want to know what these. How do I look at my business? So that was my feedback, Lori, on that very initial hook.
So it's the target audience. Who are you talking to? That is so important because of how you are going to prepare your speech. It depends on who you are talking to. It could be a group, like you said, if it's Goldman Sachs people, hell yeah, they know what they're talking about a forecast or cash flow, whatever. But if it's the regular audience, probably like us, then yes, I totally agree with you, Jeremiah. Then it would have to be a little bit more layman's language.
Yes, very good. And when we ask these questions, now we're further on these questions anyways, like what we would love is when it's super simple also to remember for yourself. So when there's like 3 or 4 commas and it's like this super long sentence and you have a hard time to remember it, your audience will also have a hard time comprehend it. So we just want to make super, like Jeremiah, can you just share, like without looking at your notes, just like again how you just said it, because that was really good.
Yeah, you could look at your business through 3 financial lenses that aren't balance sheets, profit losses, or an accounting statement, and you could get a 5 to 10x on your company. Would you be interested in hearing that?
Yeah. And this is like what we just talked about by setting the frame or starting to talk about the thoughts that are probably in your audience mind's eye. Like, well, I see 75% of the people in, and now you can start to set the frame. Now I've done this talk a couple of times, and what I know is that the 25% who's not raising your hand, you're still thinking, what's a balance sheet? I got you. What we're going to do today is we're going to make it simple and fun. Is it okay? Okay, so now first of all, you're coming on as credible, you're doing this more often, and you're also installing the thought in your audience's mind's eye of the 25%. It's like, I'm not nervous about you not raising your hand. What I know about you is you're also interested, and I'm gonna make it easy for you. So are you all in? And now you're asking permission to everybody, and now everybody feels seen and heard because 75% said yes, and the other 25 is like, I see you, I love you, and you're part of this too, let's go. So now you're including everybody. And this is the art. This is the fun, right? Super good. Well done. We have one more video. Who's excited about one more video? Who's getting something out of this, by the way? And this is for everybody who's creating the videos, because you're all going to do this. And you're all going to be examples for other people. So when you do this and you're like, oh my God, Nielsa, you started off with, I'm learning. And by the way, I read and this, and I did not like this about myself. I don't want to say it like this because I cannot say negative things, but I just want to, right? Like whatever you feel, because we all feel that sometimes. You're an example for other people. Sometimes just not knowing because we are in our own thoughts. But by seeing all these stories and all these practices and all these specificities, it starts to live for other people too. And that's going to happen with your story when you tell yours. That's the fun part about all of this. So can we get a drum roll for video number 3? Jeremiah! Let's watch your first bit.
All right. How many people out there have ever had to raise money for their company or their projects? How about how many people have invested in other people's projects or deals? How many people have made money for other people? How many of you have lost money in other people's projects or deals? And how many people don't even know what's going on with their investment? Well, today I want to talk about betting on the jockey and not the horse. So when we're entrepreneurs, we're either investing or we're raising money. One of the
We're gonna watch this one more time again.
All right. How many people out there have ever had to raise money for their company or their projects? How about how many people have invested in other people's projects or deals? How many people have made money for other people? How many of you have lost money in other people's projects or deals? And how many people don't even know what's going on with their investment? Well, today I want to talk about betting on the jockey and not the horse. So when we're entrepreneurs, we're either investing or we're raising money. One of the
All right. Big round of applause for Jeremiah. Jeremiah, how was this to watch it back, not just for yourself, but now also with other people?
Well, it's challenging. It's good. I think the energy was good coming out of the gate. There was a little bit of hesitancy when I was in my how many people are either investing or raising money, or every entrepreneur is raising money or investing, and I didn't have a little bit of clarity around that. So I'm kind of reconciling that in opening point, but I think listening to your feedback and having a lot of the questions now, I'm questioning, should I ask so many questions or should I condense it down? So there's some doubt and there's a little bit of lack of clarity at the very beginning of the talk.
All right, then let's put you up with some amazing compliments because you did a lot of things really well. So let's bring it on. What did you do absolutely amazing? Carmen.
I needed the slides. The slides helped me because he's in a topic that I'm not comfortable with.
Ah, we've got a visual learner over there, right? And she said that in the beginning. Who else is visual learner? Who got and from those visual learners, who got really happy with the slides?
Happy with the slides.
Interesting. So there you go, Sandy.
So the 4 questions, although, there were a lot of questions, it actually resonated with everyone in your audience because somebody hit all 4 of those things. So that's one thing that I saw that got me.
Yeah, really good. So the questions that were asked, they were relevant.
Yeah. I love the transition once you went through that of saying, focus on the jockey, not the horse, right? I thought that was a brilliant analogy that really speaks to a lot of people, right? So I really thought that was very well done.
Yes, really good. This is what we call sometimes a picture statement, right? You have a statement, you have a point, and you want to create a picture. It's a name I created because I like it easy, right? So it's like, is it a metaphor, is it an anecdote? It's like a picture statement. You create a picture in someone else's mind's eye on something that we all know exists. But when we talk about that fact, we don't see it. Visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than facts. So what we want to look through is how can we make our factual information more visible so people start to experience it. Experience creates emotion. Emotion is buying behavior. Mari, I saw you were muted as well. What did you think was amazing?
I thought that there was strong energy, enthusiasm. He was captivating, very captivating. Thank you.
Good. So that's fun, right? Like who here recognize sometimes that when you look at yourself, even when you got like all this information, you're like, oh my God, there's so much I can improve. And then other people are looking at you, like, wow, there was so many things that were actually really awesome. Right? It's an art and it's a science. We have 3 lenses that are a baseline. We want to implement them through an art, through a personality. Now, looking at everything we've already learned, like what could next time be better? What are suggestions to make it even better? Carmen.
The body,
No.
okay, his body language,
Go ahead, Carmen.
what?
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Carmen.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The energy, I sensed his nervousness. The energy was good. I mean, he had lots of energy, but it also bordered on nervousness.
Mm. So sometimes it's like the
Yeah,
vibe you give them with, right? Like the best way to get your point across, and this is sometimes what people perceive as confident, right? We can go into what confidence means, what confident is, and what if that is the alignment with what you feel inside and what comes out of you, how people see you and how people feel you. When that's aligned, that's confidence. When it's in a positive direction, like when people see you're nervous and you're behaving, right? It's like when it's in getting a positive intent. So the questions are in alignment with your heart, with your energy. Beautiful. Mari.
I would say I don't know who he is. You know, I feel that I needed a little bit more credibility. You know, what do you do? What kind of success you have, so that I can sit down here and really buy it.
Interesting. So when we look, and this is the fun part of a lot of examples, right? From Colin, Paralympic super champion. Nilsa, Goldman Sachs, 10-year plus. And we're not even, this is like 10% of Nilsa's credibility, right? Like so much like in that moment. It's crazy. Every time I'm like, that too? And now, knowing that the first 7 seconds, we grab people's attention or we don't, we want to be very intentional about how are we using that? How are we using that to make immediate like connection? And not to come from like, I'm a humble human being and I don't want to talk about myself all the time, because who do people buy from? People are either just like, or they aspire to, right? So it is a service to include the 3 C's, to include certain stories, so people have a better understanding of who we are, so they connect with that. At the same time, and I just keep repeating this because it's that important, if you're asking yourself, but who cares about my stories? No one. No one cares about your stories. What they do care about is what they are getting from your stories. Because when you share it through a story, people resonate with more parts of their brain. They start to connect with pictures that they have connected to the emotions that they feel when they're listening to you. So when you think people don't care about my story, it's probably true. They probably don't care about your story. Like, probably they're nice people and they do care, they say they care, but part of their survival mechanism is just not willing to pay calories in order to listen to your life story. It's just not that interesting. But it is interesting how you as a speaker create a feeling, and that how the audience feels that feeling, feels connected with you. That's mirror neurons and activated. So now they remember you better, they feel more connected, they feel more safe, they feel more open, and they will actually do something with it. And that is what you want as a speaker. And that is what your audience does care about. Jeremiah.
Oh no, it's great feedback. In this talk, I'm limited to 10 minutes. So luckily, just to give context to the group, they have an introduction. So today I'm going to define with the presenter the 1 minute introduction about who I am and what my credibility is. And then being on stage allows me to have that introduction play that role for me so I can jump into the content.
Yeah, really good. And this, before Sandy, I'm going to ask you what you have to share. I want to reiterate on this, because when we can set a frame from someone else, then we know, and this is strategy, this is speaking strategy, that when we start is the hook of our talk, but it basically is the transition from the frame that we let someone else create to our next step. Does it make sense? Until there, does it make sense? So our hook, now in other words, can also be a transition that you can strategically start with. So let's just say I would introduce Jeremiah like this is like an incredible entrepreneur. He achieved this, this, and this, and this. And we're so grateful that he's here. He's part of this community. And now he's going to share how he created this and the 3 steps or the 6 questions that you should all ask yourself. And now Jeremiah is like, who of you already did this, already did this? But maybe that's already in the bio. And now it gets a little like weird. It doesn't get weird when bio is complete in alignment with the next step. What you can choose to do, this is what I personally did sometimes, is I made sure my bio was super full of credibility. Super full of credibility. Now, I also connected with the host before and I asked, is everything clear? Because it falls or stands with the vibe they bring. If they're gonna read it, it's like, It's like, I just want you to know what it means so you can make your own vibe around it and it comes more authentic, comes across more authentic. So he introduced me, super credible, super credible. So I come on and now I start to create contrast right immediately. So now I'm saying, thank you so much. And this is all amazing. And part of you might now think, oh my God, she's a superstar and she's going to learn me speaking skills and it's just totally not ready for me because of all of this. I want to tell you a story where I was like, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm basically doing, you might be wondering the engagement loop as a hook because the frame was basically my introduction. So now we start to be strategic. Your talk is not the talk. The talk is what comes from the beginning to the end of the transformation. So people have a change in their behavior, a change in their thought, and are also compelled to work with you because that is in the end what we all want. If we don't care enough about our clients because you can do something that's really helping them. So we do want them to feel that. It just doesn't have to be very active or very salesy. It can be through storytelling and magneticness. And that's what this is about. Does it make sense that your hook is an art and a science? And that there's 3 lenses that we always want to look through, which helps us to measure like, does this make sense? Does this not make sense? And this is how we all have lenses. This is how we have lenses on the end as well. This is how we have lenses on the dialogues, on the content, on the now and the new. So a little fast forward before we go into some practical action work for all of you for next week. When part of the group is doing their performance, which again, I will exactly explain how that's going to happen. And the other part of the group is going to watch it. What I want you to think of, what I want you to prepare is what are you intentionally going to observe? Because listening to 3 stories of hooks, that's going to help every single one of you to create a stellar hook. Next time, you're going to watch the same 3 things, but you're going to see more of them. But you're also going to see the body. You're also going to pay attention on dialogues. You're also going to see the call to actions. So be very, very intentional about what you want their focus to be on. Are you going to focus on the call to action and the hook and maybe also how that's going to kind of like be combined, because sometimes you can really nicely close it off by coming back to the beginning. And maybe that is going to be your entire focus. You're going to focus on how are they going to do their hook? How are they going to do their call to action? And when they're doing their body, you're just writing down how your hook and call to action are going to be. And at the end of next week, you have your call to action and your thing completely dialed in. So the more intentional you're going to listen, the more progress you're going to make for yourself. Make sense? Super. All right. What I would love to do right now is to take a little bit of time. I'll put on a timer. Is to take, let's say, 3 minutes. 3 minutes to either, if you already created your hook, to upgrade it, but the feedback you got or the things you've heard, or if you did not yet create your hook, start to brainstorm, how do I want to do this? What questions do I want to ask? What story do I want to tell? Or do you want to write a poem? Do you want to start off with a joke? Do you want to share a crazy ass statistic? Do you want to share a news fact? What is the way that you want to open? And like take some intentional time right now to put that into practice. I'll put on the timer, 3 minutes. All right. The little intention time. Got some clarity for themselves. Raise hands. Got some clarity for yourself just by being focused for 3 minutes. But after some stories, have some focus time. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into quick breakout rooms. We will be there for 8 minutes. Okay, you will be there with either one other person or 2 other people. So some people have 4 minutes per person, some people 2.3 point something something, right? Who is responsible for making sure that everybody in the group has an appropriate amount of time and that everybody feels satisfied after? You are. Brillianto, brillianto. I don't know if that's a word. We'll be back in 8 minutes. What you're going to share is how do you have the vision of your hook right now? You can either share the idea or practice it like you would practice it live, like it's actually happening. What you saw, it doesn't have to be 5 minutes. It can be 34 seconds. So, can I see waves in the screen, like movement in the screen, if it's completely clear what the exercise is all about? Be creative. Come on now. Come on. We only do this when the whole screen is moving. Are we? Uba, don't make us hang, man. Come on now. There you go. All right. We'll be back in 8 minutes. See you soon. Hello, amazing woman. You're on mute. You're on mute, Mari. You're on mute. There you go.
I'm sorry. As you can see, I'm in my office, so I had a couple of interruptions that I couldn't stop.
You're
But
good.
Lori,
You're playing full out, you know?
yeah,
This is what it's about.
yeah, I love it. But I thought it really makes a difference how you speak depending on what the audience is, because you
Yeah,
frame for that,
it
you
is.
know. And also, I mean, like right now I was telling Nilsa that
Oh,
should I continue or not? No, I won't.
hello, everybody. Who had an insightful breakout room? Right? Who got something out of it because you're intentional about one specific piece? Sometimes we can totally overcomplicate it, right? It's like all these things in my whole story. What if it's like boiled down in specific steps and we can just focus on one step and get it done? And then we own how we create that step. And then we go to the next one and then to the next. And then, because Mari was just already out of the breakout room, she was just sharing like it does make a difference when you share in front of a different audience. And it totally does. And now you can go to your hook and think, oh, instead of making this one perfect hook, I now understand what lens to look through. So I'm just changing it a little bit. And that is what this whole entire framework is for, that you are understanding how you created it, but then also how you changed it. Because maybe Jeremiah is going to share on Thursday an amazing talk for a group of high-level business people, right? Maybe next time it will be for real estate agents. I don't know. Like it can be a different topic. Now, the stories about himself, about the 3 C's, might also change based on what he knows about the audience, right? There might be different stories that create credibility. There might be different stories that create community. Because now he's talking about community stories from the community that he's part of, right? Next time he will be part of another community, there will probably be a different story in that place, or he's going to change the through line. And that is the part that's fun, in my opinion. That's what we call the art, right? So, what I want to show you right now, so you all have complete clarity about next week, is how that's going to be about, right? So you're either going to watch the talks or you're going to do the talks. Who's excited about it no matter what? Like it's gonna be a big week and it's gonna be fun. Just know, and maybe Nilsa, I'll give you a little bit of room to share because you've been through this process 2 times before. This is your 3rd speaking academy. She's gonna go for a 4th round. Is how it feels before and how you've dealt with it. I think we did it last week as well, but might be really good to reiterate, because what I'm going to anticipate on, because I've been doing this for some years, is I'm getting some texts from people that are either saying, Lori, I don't think I'm ready. Like I don't think I want to do this. Just know you are ready. And the goal of this is not to have a perfect talk. The goal of this is for you to go through that, to let those feelings feel and see at the end. And that's the fun part for Nilsa. She's able now to see the other 2 videos. And last time she did, and she said it was so fun because in that time it was really something I was so proud of. And now with all the knowledge I have now, because the knowledge is starting to compound, I can see it through different eyes, and I'm so ready for the next version. And therefore, there's always a next version. So there will never be a perfect one. You'll never be perfectly ready. And the feeling that you're going to feel, because trust me, you will feel it, it's supposed to be. It's not something you want to run away if we can lean into that. So what is going to happen for the people who are going to watch? All right. For the people who are going to watch, you're going to get a website. You're going to get all the clarity through email. Just pay attention to the email. And this is what you're going to see. And for everybody who's speaking, just know that this is how people are going to see you, okay? So they're going to this one page, and then this will be a YouTube, this will be a stream that will be up. So right now it's not live. So right now, no one sees it. Just they see your beautiful face. and they see that it's all going to happen. They see that you're here, and then they can see a little bit about you, right? When it's live, they're able to play, and this is what they will see. Now, what's really good to know for the speakers is you won't be able to see your audience, right? Because right now, Lilsa loves it. She's like, I'm so happy about it. I just have to talk to my camera, that's all. But just know that you don't see your audience. What you do see, though, is there will be a live chat. So what you can do is you can say, put in the chat, and you're able to see the chat. Just also know, and this is just the fun part of doing a real live online event, that live stream will have a little delay. So when you're like, oh my God, no one is responding, just know that they're typing. They're typing like crazy. It's just coming 10 seconds later. So this is going to be really fun to also practice with. How does that work and what does that do to you, right? So you want to do this a couple of times out loud. Now, for the people who are going to share, you also get a specific link, and you get a specific link of the backside of the streaming platform. Now that is going, I'm not able to show this exactly because I also have a camera here, so I might not be going to go, and yes, the platform is StreamYard. So we go through this, you click on the link that you're getting, and then you see this screen. There will be a camera because now I'm using this camera for you. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but then you're going to use your name, Lori, blah, 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 and then you enter the studio. Now, this is what it looks like, all right? So you see yourself and you are gray. Now, I and the tech person have the ability to add you to the stage. Now, this is what it showcases you, and then you will be removed. Now, you are not able to see me or other people. I will. So I will see all of you here. And before it actually goes live, we will quickly run through this. So what I advise you all to do, the stream will be open half an hour earlier. So if you want to be 30 minutes before, you can. If you want to be 5 minutes before, it's at your own risk, right? So it's really nice to test the audio and the video. Now, I've got some questions from people who are already so excited, like, Lori, the background, Lori, how is this gonna work? In StreamYard, it's not possible to do a virtual background. Okay, so make sure that you feel the background is in alignment with my brand. Now, does that need to be perfect? Does it need to be the studio and the lighting and all these things? We can make it so hard on ourselves. Right now, what you're doing right now is perfect. I think we can increase that perfection a bit, right? So you can be intentional about it, but it doesn't mean it has to be. What we just saw is that, Carmen, you shared with Niels, like, I just like the energy. Like, let people like you the way they like to like you. Don't force them in the way that you think perfection means. Also know that you set yourself up for success and you're not thinking, oh my God, I did not throw out my trash and it's like right behind me. Like, just make sure you help yourself by being focused and mindful on what you're there to do. Make sense? Now, before I'm sharing lost stuff, are there any specific questions?
Laura, do we submit our talk, or how do we know if we're going to be doing one?
Yes. So what's happening? It's right during our class, right? So the event will be our week 8 class, and you're going to do it live. So what's going to happen is I'm going to introduce you. You're going to hear about the lineup, and I will be like, oh my God, it's Jeremiah. Big round of applause for Jeremiah. Then you're going to be put up next to me on the screen. And then I'm going to say, this is the cue, the floor is yours. And then I disappear. And now it's you, and this is your moment. Now, when you finish, you're also, and this is how you always want to help the host, you're going to finish clear. So you don't have to be like, Lori, don't leave me hang here. Just come get me. I'm done, Lori. Right? Just close it up in a way that's clear. Then I'll come back. We'll round it up. You go back to the backstage, and then the next person comes. And that's how we do it. It is 10 minutes per person.
Okay. Anything we want.
Yep.
I mean, everybody?
Yeah, so everybody who already like had the talk. So you will be in 4 weeks. You good. We'll prep, yeah. Yeah, so the people you just saw on the screens, those were the people. So Carmen and Rocky, Jeremiah, Nilsa, Colin, and Hannah.
Got a question.
Yes.
Okay. Finishing clearly would be thank you for listening. Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it in our one-on-one. We have our one-on-one tomorrow, and that is the cool part. Like, just as intentional be the opening, we want to be intentional with the close. So
All right,
when
so
we
that,
say thank you for listening, that's kind of the same as I feel so grateful I'm here. Thank you so much, Lori. Oh my God, Hannah, Hannah, Hannah. Yeah, that's kind of like it's great. It can be better. So what
Yeah.
I would end with you, for example, is like, so everybody wants to live with their with if this didn't convince you to live with your kids, then I don't know what will.
That's good.
Right?
Write that
Something
down.
like yeah, right now. Yeah, so that is so that is part of that process as well. And as graduates will say, it won't be perfect. It just won't. Like right before your Wi-Fi shuts off and you're like, see, I should not do this. And then it is the resilience muscle. And this is very serious because when you go out there, stuff will happen. Like it will happen. This is the safe place to practice that, to know that your peers are watching. You can invite people if you want, right? There's a link that you can, I will actually share this again with you. There's a link that you can share for people to invite them to the talk. So if you want to invite like future audiences or friends and family because you're so freaking proud of yourself and you're like, oh my God, look what I'm doing. Click on my live stream, I'll be live. You know, that is also possible for whether you're live now or lost next time. Just bring people along the journey. Share that link with them.
all right, so the one question I have is, have you seen our video?
I saw your private message. There's a 2.5 minute video that I found now.
Okay, yeah, that's that I didn't realize that was going to be short. So we sent the whole thing. Carmen sent it to you as a friend, I think.
Yeah, so there's an email sent to you with an explanation how to upload an unlisted YouTube video. That's the best way.
Okay.
Super. Anyone else? Any questions?
I'm excited.
Good. That's the energy we want to have.
Give me the mic.
That's the energy we want to have. This is going to be very exciting. And for everybody who's going to be watching what I said, be very intentional and even put it in the WhatsApp group on what you're going to focus on. Because next time we're going to reiterate on that. We're going to practice that. We're going to dial it down. And then you have your moment where you're going to share your full video with me. And we're going to go through it one by one. One-on-one, and then we're going to optimize it, and then people are going to give feedback on it, and then it's gonna be your moment, right? This is all to get you primed up. It's super cool. All right, how are we going to finish this thing? Should we do it in a way we always do it? Right? We love consistency. We're all going to create a video answering 3 questions. The first question: what did you learn? What was an aha moment or breakthrough? Question number 2.
Practice, practice, practice.
Practice. There you go. Question number 2. What are you going to do? What are you going to do until we see each other next? And then step number 3, which might be the most important one, and I cannot iterate that enough. I cannot repeat it enough. Who in this community are you grateful for and why? I see Niels says grateful for everybody. Maybe it was someone in the Zoom room who was like, whoa, that was an interesting question. Thank you so much for asking. I got a new insight. Maybe it was someone who bravely shared their video without them even knowing that it was going to happen. And they just leaned in and they allowed people to give them compliments. It was so cool how you were able to just get all that compliments, because sometimes that is inspiring to me. You know, like whatever inspires to you, share it, because it's really nice to hear it too. So, willing to do that? In our WhatsApp group, share a video right now, and then we'll see each other next Monday and next Tuesday. And if you have any questions in between, you know that the WhatsApp group is always there for you. Mwah! Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.